And we're live. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Will Mitchell, and I'm a Reiki Master Teacher from Rochester, New York. Welcome to the Holy Fire Hangout. Today we're going to discuss good and evil. So the format for today will be pretty much the same format as we do all the time. We'll talk about what is Reiki, the Reiki ideals, what's the Holy Fire, what's the Holy Fire Reiki, the three heavens, and the differences between meditation and a Holy Fire meditation experience. Then we'll have an open discussion on good and evil. And I picked this topic because over the last week or so, when I talk to new people, they go, "What do you do?" And it's, "Well, yeah, I'm a Reiki Master Teacher." And then I try to explain how the universe works, and they go, "But what about Hitler? And what about this? And what about that?" And I'm going, well, and we have a discussion over it. So why not have that discussion today? And so everyone can have input on it, and we'll ask the Holy Fire to give us some insight, and then we can have more of a discussion. So Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese relaxation technique that also promotes healing. It is made up of the two Japanese words rei and ki, where rei means divine or universal, and ki means energy. It's kind of like chi in China or prana in India. So Reiki means universal life force energy. It's the energy that's all around us, in and around us. It's built into the universe. So Mikao Usui, when he rediscovered Reiki in the 1920s, he gave us the Reiki ideals. So he asked us to put our hands together in prayer, and every morning and every evening chant these words to our heart and chant these words with our mouth. The secret art of inviting happiness, the miraculous medicine for all diseases. Just for today, do not anger, do not worry, and be filled with gratitude. Devote yourself to your work. Be kind to people. Now, the Holy Fire is that burning in your heart. It's your connection to all that is. It's your verification that you are following your highest bliss. It's the same thing as spirit. It's because there's one spirit that runs through all of us. And it's this, and it's much, much more. Now, Holy Fire Reiki is an evolution in Reiki. It's fairly recent, and it's both powerful and gentle. It provides purification, healing, empowerment, and guidance. Holy Fire Reiki is noticeably more refined and comes from a higher level of consciousness. It is unlimited. And in Holy Fire Reiki, we teach of the three heavens. In the first heaven, it's our 3D universe. It's the planet, Mother Earth. It's the air we breathe, the plants, the animals. It's all the stars, all the other planets. And the second heaven is everything that's non-physical, dualistic, and ego-based. And the third heaven is beyond ego, and clear expressions of God's unlimited love, awareness, and power. It always respects free will. Now, I found that there's a difference between meditation and a Holy Fire meditation experience. When I learned how to meditate, I was told to focus on the mantra and focus on my breathing. And when a stray thought comes in to my mind, something like, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? Or what's on my laundry list? Things like that, that you simply acknowledge the thought and simply return your attention back to the mantra and your breathing. Well, with a Holy Fire meditation experience, we have a visualization that we focus on. And if one of the stray thoughts come in, like, what am I going to make for dinner? Do the same thing. You acknowledge the thought, simply return your attention to the visualization. Now, if a thought comes in that's not something on your laundry list or what are you going to make for dinner, then that's the Holy Fire taking you on an experience. So allow that to come through and allow that to continue. Now, good versus evil. Maybe it's not versus, maybe good and evil. So I'd like to open up. People on mute, please. And what do you think? What is goodness? What is evil? Why do we have them? Why do we need them? Do we need them? Anything? I'm sure people have opinions.
Well, I guess I'll go first.
Thank you,
So,
Sheldon. Oh, let me do some introductions first. Sorry. We
oh,
have
yeah.
Amy. We have Brooke. We have Michelle. We have Sheldon. We have Valerie. Let's go ahead, Sheldon.
Okay. All right. So, what I've learned about good and evil is that it's a construct that exists for a purpose, and that purpose is to figure out, like, here, I'm trying to put this in words. Okay. So imagine a color spectrum. There's like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple, white. Yeah. And sometimes people like red more than blue. Sometimes people prefer yellow versus purple. And so, like, pretty much how I view good and evil is that concept, except the, like, red is negative, the purple and white is positive. And it's just relation to where you are, not of everything, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
I'll have more to say about that later, but I'll let someone else comment.
Thank you, Sheldon. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll pipe in. Or do you want to go, Valerie?
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm fine, girl. Go ahead.
All right, Michelle, you're up.
Okay. So I would say over the last couple of years, my viewpoints, my quote-unquote belief systems, my ideas about what that means have changed drastically. What I have found for me is that a lot of things I dislike that happen in the world are things I do maybe on a smaller scale. And so it's merely a reflection of my insights. I read a book about well over a decade ago called Conversations with God, where the idea is posited that Hitler goes to heaven. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. Well, actually, I thought, really? And I really have spent, some time pondering that the ideas that the religious institutions I have been connected to make a clear distinction that there is a heaven and there is a hell. If you are good, or then you get to go to heaven, except sometimes there's other caveats attached to that. You can't just be a good person and go to heaven. You have to be a good person, be in this particular system, and believe this particular belief, and then you get to go. And the evil part was, well, if you're evil, then you go to hell. What I've come to understand, at least this is where I am with this at this point, is we cannot see the light without the dark. And unless there is dark, sometimes it is the darkest things that move us to action. The Holocaust would be a huge example. We made changes, but evil doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's a collective consciousness behind all of this, kind of like gathering speed, and so things that we call evil are played out. But I think, too, we all choose to come here and experience different aspects of ourselves. And so that, to me, makes everything so much more palatable. Like, we kind of know that we signed up for a certain experience. And, there's a spectrum. And there's a whole bunch to feel on the human emotional scale. And if we are spiritual beings trying to have a human experience, then we will often engage in things maybe that is not in line with our highest self, but for a reason. So, you know, for me, I've had a lot of what I would say not so stellar moments of my life, but and that have almost taken me down, but they all pointed me towards something so much lighter, brighter, loving, kinder, gentler. Um, and I could not have gotten from there to here without having experienced all of the pain in the quote-unquote evil section, although, you know, really it was, I don't know. I don't know that there is evil. I don't really dwell on evil. I really dwell on light and source. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Michelle.
Sure.
And welcome, Maria, and welcome, Ray. We're discussing good and evil.
Hi. Hi. Hi, everyone. No, I don't believe in evil.
Okay.
Not really. You know, you use the word to describe a certain energy. Yeah.
Okay. So how would you...
Can I inject here for just a second? So what that's kind of what I was going to talk about, Ray, is the energy of it. Like, I believe we're supposed to be thinking with our heart brain more than our brain. Like, our brain is the computer part that keeps track of things, that gets us where we need to go, right? But if we listen to our heart brain, we will pick up on the energies that aren't good for us, such as the whole, you know, your heart beating really fast, like a fight or flight type thing, or your heart feeling a familiar comfort in the beating, and especially next to other people. And I'm rather intuitive on that level, and that's kind of how I choose the people I want to be around, is by feeling that in my heart, that energy. So yeah, evil, I can say, I don't know if I've ever actually met evil. I think I've lived through some evil things, but the person themselves, if you really look deep into them, it's really not who they are. It's an energy that's having to express itself through them at that time. And yes, probably sometimes for our own learning. And I believe that we probably do set that up before we ever come here as a soul. And that's my 2 cents. But I really liked your 2 cents too, Michelle.
Thank you, Valerie. Okay, so how do I explain Hitler to somebody?
Well, again,
Will.
I think, yeah, just go on. Again, I think he was here to portray something so horrific that we could all learn as a consciousness that that was wrong, that we may never repeat that again because it was so wrong. But then again, everyone didn't learn the lesson.
True. I'd like to share something I saw today that was really interesting. It was a TED Talk, and a guy was colorblind, and he had this device put into his brain, and they made it where he could see sound through color. So he started making paintings through color, and he made a painting of Hitler and a painting of Martin Luther King. And so he wouldn't name which was which. And I actually chose the Hitler picture, like, as the more beautiful picture. And the complexity of the idea is that everyone is a perfect soul, right? And we come here to have this experience. And he really thought he was doing the right thing, whether that was interference of a mental illness kind of nature or whatever. I mean, a lot of things are done in the name of God, and maybe it's just not like Maybe it's just miswiring or bad chemistry in the brain, or maybe something even bigger. But so therefore, at everybody's soul essence, we're perfect. We're perfect reflection. We're a perfect aspect of source, experiencing different vibrations of dark and light, on the spectrum. So I thought that was an interesting thing that I ran into today. Because I agree with Ray, like I feel like there's no evil. I've heard it said, heaven and hell, same. It's the same, and it's just kind of our experience, what we bring into it. I'm sure in my many lifetimes I've done some really quote-unquote evil things to get me to a place where I can find some really amazing, beautiful things. So I get to experience lots and lots of different situations and emotions to evolve me to remember who I really am.
Brooke? Oh, go ahead, Sheldon.
I was just going to briefly comment that I don't say like wrong or evil anymore. I say dark. Like,
Okay.
That's a dark decision, or, feeling really dark, or, I don't know. It's just color, seems to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll
And or low vibration also.
yeah.
And I was going to say, yeah, without light, it's dark. So you're right about that, Sheldon.
But yeah, you can go, Brooke.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the things I noticed when I was younger and I was first open and I was a very, very, very strong empath was that I would run into certain people from time to time whose auras were usually dead black, occasionally with spots of gray or red, and they would feel sickening from like, a half or a quarter of a mile away to me, and as they got closer, I would either feel the need to flee the area or like go throw up or something. And what I figured out as they came closer usually was in every single occasion that happened, the person who walked in had, sexually assaulted somebody. Like they didn't say that to me, but I just knew it somehow. And they had the grossest energy signatures I've ever felt. And I don't know if it necessarily felt evil, but it left this impression on their soul and on their spirit to where I could tell what they had done and the timeline of it and how violent or whatever and all that kind of stuff. And I've had that experience with other people, but now as it got more nuanced, it wasn't just those things. It became more things, and I noticed more people had little bits of it here and there. So there may not be good and evil, but I think there are definitely some things that one can do in the human experience that leave an indelible mark on your soul. Maybe not forever, but definitely for a while. So I don't know if that gives credence to one theory or the other. It's just something I observed.
Thank you, Brooke.
Mhm.
Maria, Ray, either you two want to chime in? Maybe not.
Ray's kid wanted to chime in for a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to say too, I have felt that those kind of icky energies too. I mean, I've worked in an environment where there was a lot of public bar, restaurant type situations where you just know the people to kind of not get too close to, not to look in the eye. You know what I mean? Just by the energy around them. So that's what I meant by, picking up on other people's energies. Not that they're evil, but just, it feels heavy. So to me, it always felt that way, felt heavy. So I didn't want to go there.
I have a lot of the same feelings, meaning that not necessarily that I know child molesters or things like that, but I do get the generic feelings, like Valerie said, that there's something wrong about this person, or I don't want to go in that area, I want to go in this aisle, or things like that.
Yeah, likewise with the good side, for example, what's good? What is truly good? I mean, is it good to lock up, you know, some guy you perceive as evil in jail? Is that right? And then there's that word righteousness, which is very interesting. Just putting some things on the table, some ideas.
Well, I have my own theory on righteousness.
What's that?
Well, because Archangel Zadkiel his name means the righteousness of God. So, to me, how can the human definition of righteousness that I've come to know is people that believe that they're in the right, so they believe they're righteous. But how can an angel have an entity and a name about righteousness then that, hey, I know I'm in the right, so therefore this is the way to be? But we can take that and say from an angelic standpoint, it's if God has no judgment, because God allows free will, so how can you have judgment if you have free will? That to me, the true righteousness is seeing only the light in everybody, no matter what, and respecting their free will and not getting all upset. That's the only way I can rationalize
Yes.
an angel having that name.
It for me is pretty much a really daily practice to understand that everyone is here on their own path for their own experience, and it is not my job to judge that path. It is my job to keep my insides where they need to be of maximum service to those about me and to myself. I am not. I don't think for a minute God doesn't, or Source, it is not complete love. It is a ridiculous idea to me personally that, he's like so petty that he's going to dissect, every little human being's, checklist of good and bad, right and wrong. It's just, I don't even know where I was going with that, but that was just what came up for me.
I get that. So maybe what I want to pose is this topic came up because when I talk to people, they're going, well, what do you do about this? What do you do about that? And obviously a discussion ensues, but how do you handle, if it's in the past for me, I don't seem to have a problem with it. If it's in the future, then I don't think I have a problem with it either. But if it's in the now, there's a line somewhere where I believe I need to take action or I need to deal with it internally myself. I mean, if you see a parent disciplining a child in a restaurant, what do you do? Do you do anything? Do you allow it to happen? And what's the level of discipline in which before a parent stands up or any other person stands up and says, that's a bit much, we're not going to do that in a restaurant? And then with other behaviors, it's just like if you witness a robbery, what do you do? Or if you watch one's going down, do you try to stop it? Where's that line where you deal with, oh, okay, this is just somebody vibrating at a different level. They're having an interesting point of view, or you take action.
I think that's inner guidance. Like at that moment, just kind of like how you receive. I don't know, but it is complex because there's ego involved in that too.
Yep.
And it is complex. I sometimes bother, or sometimes I mind my own business. It's tricky. I don't know the answer, but I think if you feel strongly enough, I think I get a sense in my gut that's so strong sometimes that I can say things in a very calm way, in a loving way, that can diffuse something. And if it is met with, a volatile reaction, then I remove myself from the situation.
Sheldon?
Yeah? What's up?
Just wondering if you had a point of view.
Well, I do. Just like everyone. Yeah, so my point of view, it goes like this.
I love you, Sheldon.
I love you too. What are we talking about? So I was just like,
If you observe,
oh, the border. Okay. All right.
yeah, where is that line? Where's that line where you say something or you take action, or where's that line where you just say, "Wow, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I'm not going to stop it."
Well, I do know what is past the borderline where, like, okay, let's say a kid's not sitting still at a dinner table. The kid's like, hey, stop that. The kid's not listening, being all loud. So then they're like, I have this grenade. I'm gonna pull the thing if you don't like stop that. And then people will go like, hey, if you let that blow up, you'll like kill all of us. So there's like definitely the point where like if what you're doing to one individual harms more individuals in the process, it's probably not worth it. So like, I won't go into the territory I was about to go into, but like let's say there's some scientists and they're like, okay, we're gonna mess with the time-space fabric a bit and do some unknown stuff. We don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna do science and we're gonna learn about it. But really, like in the future, someone will come back and say, hey, don't do that. You're gonna make the universe collapse on itself way sooner than it should have. So like there's one borderline. It's an extreme example. But there's just a point where there's obviously you shouldn't do that, and then there's a point where it's like kind of gray. You're like, well, if you're into that, then I guess. But it's all about free will, and
Okay,
that's all I have to say.
interesting.
Can I say, as a mom, and having to teach your children these things a little bit too along the way, you just have to kind of say, well, what I did to my son, I guess, was follow your inner voice. And your inner voice is going to tell you when it's the right time for you to intervene and when you shouldn't. And I think each person has their own inner voice that tells them what they're responsible for. So maybe follow that.
So normally I try to just mind my business. And so I have a neighbor, and he was making commentary that I did not feel comfortable with about me as a female, and also to my daughter. And as much as I did not want to make this a subject of conversation, I have to set boundaries on where people's stuff, their energy bleeds into my life. And so after a short discussion and him screaming and yelling and cursing at me, I just said, please quit talking to me. You know, and so that's been good. And now I don't have to deal with his energy anymore. I don't have to negotiate it with it. I just like it's just done.
That's a healthy boundary.
It is.
I think a lot of us forget sometimes that we do have a voice, and we can set our own boundaries. But yeah, by listening to that inner voice, it gives you your outer voice. So good job, Michelle.
Well, I will tell you, having been, it was, you know, I've never had a problem I used to use my voice, but in really inappropriate ways that were harmful to other people. But what I learned being in a really abusive relationship is that I shut my voice down because I did not feel that I wanted to sink to the same level of conversation, but I was also unwilling to leave because I had so much fear that I could not possibly be alive or manage without this person in my life. And so it has been a huge gift and a pleasure to learn that I have a voice, and I do have listened to my inner guidance system, and I do set boundaries. And I feel so empowered by my ability to do that. And I do not do it in the ways I used to do, which create, they're neutral, I should say. I feel this way when this happens, and I don't want to be a part of it, is basically how it goes, you know. And it's really not my responsibility how anyone feels about that. It's my responsibility how much I love myself and take care of myself.
Interesting. Thank you, Michelle. Welcome, Jasmina. Do you have any opinions on good and evil?
Not right now.
All right.
Just wanna listen for a while.
Sounds good.
But I'd rather be good than evil.
Same here. Same here. Does anyone else have anything we want to talk about before a Holy Fire meditation experience?
I do have one more thing I'd like to add. I think there's a really huge chasm between perception and reality. And depending on where we are and how much we are sending love to ourselves and like really owning that, we can twist a lot of things that happen into the world and make it about us and our not good enoughness. And
like my said that. Is that hyphenated or one word?
I don't know, but I like it. And
not good enoughness.
So like my propensity to always internally judge, even if I'm not aware of it, but I have become aware of it, you know, so that I like to be a victim and judge myself as not good enough, not worthy. And that has been a pattern for me that I have been working diligently to, you know, get out of, because that does not serve me. Also, what I understand in my frailties and the things that I have done harm in other people's lives, I did as a reflex because I did feel that self-hate. And I have to understand that when people are lashing out, they most often, like me, emphasis on reminder, like me, I'm not better than, it's they're hurting. They're hurting and they want attention. They're hurting and they don't feel heard. They're hurting and they need to put you down to feel big so they can feel okay in their skin at that moment. You know, this is a lot of what this is about, is that we are stuck in the inculcation of our human experience where we have this underlying sense that I am not enough. I am just not enough and I am not worthy. And so having gone through many, many, many years and cycles of that, I can look at people with compassion and understand. You know, sometimes I look at them and I'm pissed off first, but then I understand, oh, I am you, you are me. You're merely reflecting a period of my life that I've been through, and I'm not particularly proud of that period, and I don't like how that makes me feel. You know, that's all.
Well, another wise member of the Hoogaloo family clued me in a little bit on that yesterday and kind of let me know that, you know, it is our separateness from God that makes us feel not so not so worthy, but that we all really are very, very worthy. And really, we need to find that love inside of ourselves. So, you know, keep your head up there, Michelle. You're on the right track. We love you.
Go, Michelle.
I feel so different. Like the fact that I could even have this conversation is amazing for me. I mean, I can look myself in the mirror and I can say I love you. And that was impossible 3 years ago. That was impossible. And for me to look at someone who presses my buttons at first, but then send them love and healing and the best, because we're all just hurting in our own unique ways, you know? And everything is not about me. I am not the center of the universe. People's reactions and their stuff is not about me. And it's not my job to fix their stuff. It's my job to fix my stuff.
Exactly.
Thank you, Michelle. I can only reiterate exactly.
Exactly.
That's why I love you, Sheldon.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same level of sarcasm.
Yes,
Few people like that. I appreciate it.
exactly.
So, Sheldon, did you know that the original meaning for sarcasm in the Greek means tearing of flesh? Just FYI.
Tearing up the flesh of language.
Tearing of flesh.
Of language. You
Mm.
know,
Words hurt. They
just take
can
you.
hurt.
Yeah, well, what I meant to
Yeah.
say, I guess, and maybe I should have said it better, was that, you know, Michelle, you aren't alone. We've all, I don't know what all of us have a past, but that's just what it is. It's the past. What we really have is right now, in this moment. So that's what I heard you saying, was that you had moved from feeling the past and living the past over and over again to now living in the present.
Yes, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. So much grace. I have been afforded huge tons of grace. And also gifts of beautiful people like you guys in my life to show me even more.
And beautiful people like you in my life.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's gonna be a thing for a little bit.
It is, just a wee bit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Sometimes no more needs to be said, right?
You got it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Oh. So we ready to meditate then?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so let us get comfortable. Maybe it's time to take a sip of water. Silence your cell phone. That's what I'm going to do right now.
Well, I fielded the call over to Dad, so my son is on the phone, but with his dad again.
Good for you. So close your eyes. Get relaxed. Taking a deep breath. And exhale. Breathing and relaxing. Breathe out, releasing. Breathing and relaxing. Breathe out, releasing. Let's take a moment to invite in Mother Earth. Start in our heart center. Reach through our root chakras, through our feet, and greet Mother Earth. Pretend you're growing roots all the way down, deep, deep, deep down into Mother Earth around her core. And bring back up the spirit of Gaia through your feet, through your root chakra, and into your heart center. Breathing and relaxing. Exhale, releasing. Breathing and relaxing. Exhale, releasing. Now let's invite in the third heaven energies. Start in our heart center. Reach up through our crown chakra, up into the third heaven, and bring some of those energies back down through our crown chakra, into our heart center, and intermix those energies together, kind of like the yin and the yang. Breathing and relaxing. Exhale, releasing. Breathing and relaxing. And on your next exhale, push all that combination of energies out into every aspect of your being. Everywhere and every when, wherever, whenever you existed. Breathing and relaxing. Exhale, releasing. In your heart center is the fire within. It is the holy fire. Allow it to be fanned. Allow it to grow. Now imagine yourself in a forest. Forest is lush, full of life. The colors are vivid. And you look around. You see a path. You follow this path as it leads out of the forest. You continue along this forest, this path. And you see a bend in the path. When you reach the bend, you see a river flowing up ahead. You walk up towards the river and you have a seat on the grass. You see a light shimmering and glimmering on the surface. This is no ordinary light. This light is from the third heaven. Allow this light to enter your soul. Allow this light to take you on a journey. When you are ready, if you're guided to continue your experience, please do so. Start to bring your attention back to your fingers and toes. Start to wiggle them. Bring your attention to your eyes. Slowly open them. Bring your attention back to the here and now. I'm going to take a sip of water. And start writing this down. Take out your journal, pen and paper, or start writing online. Whatever works for you. I'm going to write some things down. They're a little non-contiguous, but interesting enough as it is.
I'd like to start if I can.
Yes, please.
Well, yesterday I had to help my little dog pass over to the other side. So that is mostly what's on my mind. And interestingly enough, at the end of the path was a pink dragonfly. It was willing to carry me across to see that she was okay. And she's playing with the butterfly in a worm and making her way along the path in sunshine and letting me know that she's okay. So even through my tears, there's a rainbow. So thank you so much for that.
Awesome. That's beautiful. That was the goodness side. That was good. Bet you that felt tremendous.
Tremendously relieving.
I'm so happy for you, Valerie. Because I know you've been troubled since Bella passed, transitioned.
Well, yes, she was very sick, and the kidney disease had wasted her body. So it was so hard to say goodbye to her, but I couldn't let her suffer.
Right.
And it's just hard to make that decision. And like we were talking about, when do you get to that point when enough is enough? For me, it was when she was crying to breathe and couldn't and was crying out. And to me, that was enough. It was enough. And I feel like it was the right thing to do because she can be now a healthy, happy little dog making her way. And I wouldn't want anything more for her. And thanks again for leading me to this hangout today, to the meditation that allowed me to go there.
You're welcome. Does anyone else want to share?
Hello, test. Okay, yeah. Um, so I was in the meadow, curve, stream, that part. So after you stopped, I was sitting there for a while, just staring at the water go by. It was really clean looking, really transparent. I was looking at the light, so I was like, okay. I got the urge to jump into the water around where that light was. Then I went underwater and I kept swimming down, down. Like it looks shallow, but it's actually like so deep it goes black. That's how my stream was. So I kept swimming down, and then these two beings with like, you know those fish that have like the lights, you know, and they create their own light under deep
Yes.
water. They're kind of like that. They're like mermaids, but they had like the lights on. They swimming around me like, yeah, you found him. So like they led me to some underground place where there's like a dome and like there are things in it. I went to the first little dome thing. The air changed, or the water level changed, and like it was more air based. And then I went into the main room, which there's a lot of those kind of brownish colored mermaid creatures. And then I saw someone I knew in there. And then there was like some kind of fatter king looking guy. He was some kind of superior, and he mentioned, like, I got the translation in my head. I didn't hear anything really, so I'm guessing it's telepathic, but it was just like, you know, you two have met, finally, just informing you about your connection, blah, blah, blah. And then they led us to this one area, which was above surface, somewhere else completely. And we, like, talked for a bit, and then I was like, I'm going to visit you in the astral more often because I want to figure what this means out. And then as I was thinking about that, I slowly kind of faded back to the side of the stream. So I was like, okay, I'm back here now. I wonder where I came from. Like, I know what it looks like going from here to where I was, but I started backtracking to where I was, like, down the path. And I saw a portal. It was like ovalish shaped. And so I was like, oh my god, that's pretty cool. So I walked into the portal, and everything pretty much just kind of like was black. And while I was in the portal, I was simultaneously still underwater in that dome thing with the creatures. But I was still in the portal, and then like after a while, I focused on being in the portal. Then like my eyes opened, and I was here. I was like, that's so cool. So then I closed my eyes again, came back to that place, looked at the portal. It was a different shape, different area kind of now. And then some insectoid creature came through with like some kind of cool helmet thing. And, you know, it didn't catch me off guard. I totally expected it for some reason. Yeah. And
I totally expected that.
so yeah, it kind of looked like a mosquito, but not really. Just like a giant 7-foot tall mosquito with like space armor. You know, took off his helmet thing to be more natural, like I could see its eyes and stuff. And it was walking with me down the path, and we were just discussing things. I don't know what we were discussing. I was speaking some kind of galactic language, and it was talking like, that's how it sounded. But we had this conversation, and it was like a deep conversation. That's all I know. We sat next, like cross-legged across from each other, even though it wasn't cross-legged for that entity. Anyway, it eventually went back into the portal, and I was just sitting there in the nature. And then, like, I was doing some thinking. Then, like, I heard a sound in my headphones. So I was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Okay, I'm back here. My experience." Oh wait, no. Before that happened, I was sitting next to the stream where I was. There's this like white fire next to me. I was like, "Oh hey, fire!" And it was like, "I'm the holy fire. If you wish, I can merge with you." And I was like, yes, that'd benefit a lot of people. And so like I was just sitting there breathing, and it was like slowly coming in through the left side. And it was just like, you know, just let me know when it's like a lot, like if I'm in there enough, or if you want more or something like that. And then I heard the bloop, and I came out of it, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So that was my kind of twisted explanation.
Hey, it was awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
I like the way you think. Would anyone else like to share? Michelle, Ray, Sabrina?
All right, I'll share, but it wasn't, maybe I had an expectation that was silly and not necessary, but here's how it went. People are strange when you're a stranger kept looping through my head and annoying me to death. And so I kept trying to bring it back to the breath, and focus on the holy fire, and ask my guides, Usui and holy fire, and all my higher self, all this, can we just like get down to the meditation part and get this Jim Morrison song out of my head? So really, I was just very, very present with what was happening in both my brain and my body. So I was following like feelings in my heart chakra. The only thing, I kept trying to focus on the light space on the water, and I saw all of our little icons that are up on the screen meld into a petal of a flower, all different colors, because we each have different color ranges or spectrums of colors. So each of those melded into kind of a lotus, let's say, kind of a flower. And then all of our kind of like a DNA strand of each of those started interweaving itself up, 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 up. And so that was the one visual I got that was really beautiful. And then my body wanted me to start making like toning sounds, so I did that until we were done. So it was different. I have no idea.
It's just an experience. It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah. But the flower was really beautiful, as were the strands coming off of it. So that was really lovely. And
Nice.
that felt like connection. That felt like love. And that was nice.
Thanks, Michelle. Does anyone else want to share? Ray? Maria?
I just want to say hello, everybody. Hello, Will.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi, sis. Hi, Maria. Miss you.
Hi, sis.
Oh, Anne.
Hi, Al.
How are you?
Fine, are you?
Good, good.
Oh, hi, Will.
Missing my sister. That's all. I didn't get to talk to her today.
All righty.
Hi, Al. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello,
Hello,
Michelle. How are
Love
you?
to hear about your channel experience there, Sabrina.
Oh, I was meditating with Brian, and then Brian started speaking a light language, one that feels like Egyptian in some kind of way. So then I started speaking it also, but then my entity decided to speak English, so I started responding in English. So I guess they knew each other from way back, and it was saying, "Hello, buddy. How you been? How's life treating you? Nice to talk to you again." And they went back and forth for a while. Then mine would talk in English, Brian's was speaking the language. And then afterwards, it left me like, "Ooh, baby." Like I took a sedative or something. For a while, I was like that for a good 2 hours. So, but I went
Wow.
outside. I walked, looking for something on the yard, and then it grounded me. So it was all good. So that was today.
Well, it's cheaper than wine, huh?
Oh, way cheaper. That doesn't take that much. And I won't get a DUI. Anyways, I let
Did they
somebody
have a channeling while intoxicated?
Yeah, too much laughter. uh, okay, Maria, I'll let you talk now.
Well, I was just listening to you. I did not say that I wanted to talk. I just had an, I don't know, long dream during this meditation. I don't remember all of it, but I stayed in the same forest. It was raining. It was beautiful. I was feeling the raindrops on my skin. There was lightning, as I like it, and thunder. And then I realized a little beautiful, colorful bird started singing. And then there we go. The whole zoo and all animal, the whole jungle was there. Then that little bird started singing. There was a path. I followed the path. I followed the bird on the path, and I don't remember all of it. But at one point, all my focus went on something looked like two. There were two things. I'm not sure if they were. They looked like logs, two little logs. And then I started focusing on them, and then I lost it there. And I don't know. I don't remember anything. Then I realized there was something in my heart, and I came back. That was it. When I focused on those two, shape of those two things looked like two little logs. Well, and there was more. I forgot in the jungle. There was a lot more. It was like a very fast and furious trip.
You just remember is hearing the
like someone was fast forwarding the whole thing. Oh, sis, I forgot to tell you. Yesterday when we were meditating together, I saw a water lily. I don't know what water lily stands for or symbolizes. Well, the guy was there actually, talking to me, and then there were a lot of stuff, but that was something that I just remembered. Any idea?
No, it was an Arcturian, the one I was channeling.
Yesterday, yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
And when I asked his or her name, I got the answer that you know me, and I'm like, okay, but I don't remember at the moment, and yeah, I didn't get a name or anything, but
Yeah, chances are it was Utatuli if she said you know me.
yes, you know me, and I was okay.
We hijacked Will's. Hey, Will. How you been, Will? Do tell,
Awesome.
do tell.
This is totally fine. We're talking about the goodness now. So this hangout's all about good and evil, so we're just concentrating on the goodness. Like I think we should.
Yeah. Why not?
Plus,
Can I share?
yes,
Good vibration.
I'm glad you're in a good vibration now. Plus, whatever that, whatever it is, Atatuli, she or he was actually telling me about the stuff that I saw in my meditation, in your channeling. Did you record it?
Did I record it? I don't think so.
Oh, I should have. Okay, that's fine.
Maybe. I have to see. I know I recorded one of them. I don't know if it was yours or Zach's.
Okay.
So I'll have to check.
Sorry, people.
It's all good. It's all good. It's
I know
okay.
we're speaking off the subject. Sorry.
Let's go back to the subject. Beautiful flowers, beautiful animals, beautiful birds.
Yeah.
There you go, Will. Take it over.
Well, that jungle was really, really beautiful.
There you go, the jungle.
I don't know.
So, Ray,
Well-
do you want to talk?
Oh yeah, Ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ray.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So I've had this realization quite a while back, but recently some members made a video which actually verbalized and put words to the symbolic things that I had been seeing. So yeah, recently they made a video about good and evil, and they used the symbol of the yin and yang. This is a bigger symbol than we think. So one night I had a dream where it pretty much explained duality. I'm not sure if I remember all the details, but let's just say one day in the universe appeared the light and the dark. And what I felt from each side is that they loved each other so deeply. They yearned for each other so intensely, yet they could not touch each other. They could not mix together. They were just so far apart, so at the opposite polarities of the universe, that there was just no way that they could join. And the only way that they could join is to create something with their desire for each other, is to create something in the middle. And as they came towards each other, they still could not mix. All they could do is create a spiral of light and dark together. And it just, they still couldn't, they still want to get closer and closer to each other. They yearn for each other so much, the light and the dark. So the spiral would get tighter and tighter and tighter and closer together, and it would get so fast to you it would look like the color gray perhaps, and it would get so intense and so fast that it actually created another dimension. Like, it actually started going sideways. So like you got the light and the dark, and then there's something coming out the side, So, and this to me, how I interpreted when I woke up from this dream, was that the thing that came out the side is the third dimension. It created reality, and reality is basically created out of these two polarities. Nevertheless, we have this symbol of the yin and yang, where, yeah, it kind of reminds me of that dream, the spiraling light and the dark, and yet in this symbol the light has the dot and the dark has the light dot as well. And recently the two members, they mentioned, they put such a perfect word that those dots, from the light there's a portal to the dark, and from the dark there's a portal to the light. So it just keeps going and going back and forth. Where am I going with this? So,
Do you mean to say balanced?
there is a balance, but it's, yeah, you could say balance, but say you go to the extreme of the darkness, there's only, you can go to the very extreme, and yet somehow there is light that comes out of it, for example. And yeah, there's those that maybe try to go to the light, and yet darkness still exists somewhere, or they can't stay in the light forever unless you're, literally God or something. I don't know. I don't know too. I'm going into symbology that, some other people might have more wisdom about. So I like ideas of neutrality. I like ideas of balance, and yet there's also what's outside the symbol of the yin and yang. If you consider it as a whole circle, it is about oneness. So I think when you're considering good and evil, we should also consider ideas around neutrality and oneness also. I don't know, that's all I got to say.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
It's very symbolic. Sorry.
That's it? That's all you have to say?
Exactly.
Very good.
I'm still a bit spaced out, so yeah, that's all I got to say.
That was very good. Very good explanation. Nice job.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Will, I'm curious, how was your Holy Fire experience?
Mine was interesting. It was jumping all around. I can't quite remember a lot because people started talking. I didn't get to write mine down. To me, I also am so tired I started nodding off here and there. So part of it was dream state, part of it was meditation state. So it was all really interesting. So I have no specifics. But I like how everybody's talked about good and evil, but you still don't have an answer for me. How do I explain Hitler?
Well, first you look up, go to the history book, you open the page where it says Hitler, and then you read that to them, and then afterwards you're like, okay, so do you know why this happened on a higher level? And then, I don't know. That's how my higher self would handle it.
I think on the higher level, it forced all of us to realize that we're not really different. That all of these boundaries and things that we create with each other about color of skin, religion, culture, abilities, are not real, and at the end we're all the same. We all seek the same things. We were all created in the image of God. We're all beautiful inside, and though it was a hard lesson for humanity, it taught us a lot. And it took, people that probably would have never united, never met, never talked to each other, to unite, to become one in order to help a group of human beings that were in need at that moment in time and place.
So,
And I know this because I have thought about this long and hard. This is not the first time, so I have to put that disclaimer there. I have thought of this many times, especially, I have a recollection of a life in a concentration camp. So, but I think that's what that taught us. So, with time we sort of reverted. We didn't go completely out of balance. So it was balancing what might have been, the scale might have been tilting way too much to one side. So it rebalanced things on humanity as a whole. So we still have pockets. I mean, we can't deny that these things still happened. But I think we learned a great deal, and we grew up as humans from this event.
And trains.
May I add some? Me, someone like Hitler is a person very with the disconnected from soul and higher self with too much ego. And sometimes when I think about it, some of those, I'm talking about souls, some of those souls are really, really, to me, brave to take those kind of roles, because we're playing roles in our lifetimes. To play those kind of roles, coming down and play those kind of roles, because I would never want to play that role.
And one thing I've realized too is that when we leave this physical plane through death, we remember what we were before we were human. And before we were human, we couldn't experience pain and suffering and all that stuff. Like, there's the idea, like, oh, we should love each other. But then you're like, but why? So then you go down and you're like, okay, this is what it's like to hate someone. And then you come back, you're like, oh, that wasn't very good. I now know why we should, be friendly to each other because we're all one. So that's my view. There's not a lot of pain up there.
So when you're always light, you can appreciate the lightness. Like if you're always love and joy, you cannot appreciate what that means. You cannot see yourself. And to appreciate that, you have to experience darkness. So I would say that the best description and I will try to look it up for you, is I can't remember if it's the first or second book or third of Neil Donald Walsh, talking about conversations with God, where he gives a very specific, detailed reason why Hitler goes to heaven. But I'll find it for you.
Okay.
Okay. And it's just really about, and it involves everybody, because he did not create the whole movement. There was lots of people with lots of hate in their heart, lots going on, and it was just like maybe, the collective conscious creates a tsunami or whatever else, that there needs to be a shift. And so maybe we sign up to have these experiences, so that the collective conscious can view things in a different way, with more love or with more compassion or with whatever. So
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that I think over all our lives we all play different parts, and so by the time we culminate, we all have a general understanding of what the other one is going through and can find compassion in our hearts for the other person, even though they may be doing something that is really wrong to us now. It may not have been in another life, so we still have to find compassion.
And interestingly, I think if you look at his side, like his story, is that he had voices in his head, and he thought they were God. So I don't know what that was all about, but, just like anybody, we put a judgment on what they're doing is right or wrong, good or bad, whatever, legal. Nobody knows what another mind is, what is happening. I mean, there are a lot of people who I guess are termed mentally ill who hear voices that tell them that they will save the world if they kill this person. Who knows? It's just, I mean, the overall takeaway I get from that is keep my vibration clean as possible, so I don't add to the negative, and maybe I send out love and light and healing to that of a lower vibration daily, for change, for the good of all.
Forever. Sorry, I just wanted to add another foreword onto it. I noticed that this is titled Good and Evil, but we end up going into the subject of right and wrong. I think they're fundamentally linked somehow.
I think you're correct. I think there's lots of other concept words that are linked to this conversation as well, like forgiveness, judgment, a whole bunch of other things. But still, and this kitty is
Got
named
a
Peanut
cat.
Butter. Peanut Butter. Meow. Is meow. Exactly. So my question is still is, for people who aren't connected, so people who believe that this is their one and done, how do I explain it? I mean, we end up having a conversation, but how do I explain that Hitler, that's one of their icons, one of their avatars for the ultimate evil, you know, how do I explain to them that it's just yet another reality, it's another viewpoint?
Maybe it's just not your job, Will.
Oh, it's not, but I don't think it is, but I think it was an interesting conversation. It just went
Like,
on for a while.
basically, all we can do is present. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. You know, you can open up the idea for them to ponder later. It doesn't have to be you know, I have been told meditation is going to help me for more than a decade, and I haven't sat down and consistently done it till the last couple of years. So, you know, like, I hear it and it resonates with me, but I'm unwilling. I hear it and it resonates, but I'm not willing, you know, and so we leave people with pieces, you know, here, have this little nugget of something beautiful to think about, to ponder, to sit with until you get to the place where, you know, maybe you want to consider that's a possibility.
Now, the other thing is, I think people like to hold on to it. Like, they really like to hold on to the idea of him and how they view it, and don't you dare take him down.
Yes,
From
right
where
fighting.
they put him. Yeah.
Because we're going to take away their hate.
Yeah, it's right fighting. But you know what? Everybody looks at Hitler, but there's Stalin. There's several other individuals who
Oh,
did
of course.
exactly the same thing or worse. And somehow Hitler, he's like the super duper bad guy. I don't know. Like, I wasn't even aware until somebody pointed that out to me. Like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And the same exact thing, more people, you know, more lives. Like, I don't know. I don't watch news or engage in TV, but I turned on NPR today, and they were talking about something that happened at, I don't know, whatever, you go on pilgrimage and a bunch of people died. And I immediately thought, this is how, I did not think how sad. I thought, how awesome, because that is 700 more super duper cool kids being born into this now. Like, like, I don't know. My ideas have shifted greatly on what it all means. So I don't know. And send love and light to those who are suffering and all of the quote unquote tragedies, which are all lessons, really. So I don't know.
I'm trying to stay muted because the dog is fetching the ball. Straight up his leg. I think it's just interesting. I love having the conversation about good versus evil, especially when people ask me, well, what do you do? And then it's just like, are you really ready for this conversation? And some people are. So I spent while talking, while watching the Giants game last night, watching them lose in the playoff battle. I gave a guy Reiki who was having back problems, and while we're having our discussion, and sometimes we talked about good versus evil, sometimes we talked about aliens, sometimes we talked about just other things in life. But today, Mike gets a text from the guy, and he says, strangely enough, my back feels better today. It's just like, hey, yeah, okay. Welcome to my world. But he heard the term Reiki before, but he didn't know what it was. But he was open enough to allow me to put my hand on his back, and he was open enough to have himself have his back feel better. So that part was awesome.
Okay, so how did you explain? So I'll be the other person, and you tell me what your explanation is. So why would such a person be created?
Oh, no. That wasn't the topic. The topic was that Hitler got brought up, and not why he was created. Is just that, are you really trying to tell me that Hitler's going to heaven? Really? Really? I don't buy it.
Oh, okay.
And they're saying it's just like, no, definitely he's burning in hell. Okay? He's burning in hell.
I guess then you have to believe in the heaven and hell concept in order to go there.
Right.
You have to believe in that to begin with.
For some reason, I'm thinking he did both. Hitler's had both.
I do believe that hell is an individual experience that you have. It's not necessarily I'm going to burn in eternity for my transgressions, but I believe you experience it. But that doesn't mean that there exists a hell. But if I believe that everything I think is created and therefore it's a place, so sure, if I dwell in that now for a long time, whether I'm transitioned or physical, then I guess I could say, hey, I'm in hell. But I don't want to have this be heaven and hell. I mean, just to meet good versus evil, good and evil. It doesn't have to be a versus conversation.
So here's the thing that happens, or I've noticed for me, is that we seem to assign the creator, God, source, whatever you like to call the higher power in your life, human attributes. I remember reading through the Old Testament at some point, and I was so angry, and I was like, really? And there were probably some expletives in that, and like, this is the most childish, arrogant, like, mean-spirited dude, this God person. You know, I'm smiting you because you just insulted my friend, and it didn't make any sense to me. Like, okay, we have 10 commandments, but you can go kill all the people in that land area and take it for yourself, which is technically stealing. So what I think is that we put all these human attributes on what we would do as people versus what pure unconditional love is, and most of us just don't know what that looks like. At least that my life experience has only introduced me to the idea that I am capable of such a thing as loving without conditions, or at least sometimes loving without conditions. So, you know, we put a lot of our humanness on something that is so far beyond our understanding, and that which is source, that which is God, that which is unconditional love. And You know, I think I often explain to people, I just don't think God's that petty that, he's gonna, like God, if God is love, if God is love, he's not gonna hurt you. He's always gonna support you, no matter what. Just end a story, no matter what stories you've been told. And that's my belief. And you don't have to believe my belief. But I like my belief. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Remember the part about my dream where it was the light and the dark, they loved each other? So in that sense, it seems like there is something outside of light and dark that is love. That was actually, yeah, thank you for your perspective. It was awesome.
Exactly.
Thanks, Raven.
And the universe just got more awesome.
Exactly.
That makes me feel like a rock star. Thank you.
Awesome. I do need to end the hangout pretty soon because two beautiful little girls are going to come home and I need to pay attention to them.
Oh, so exciting, Uncle Will.
Yes, I am Uncle Will. And we're gonna do stuff together tonight. It's gonna be totally awesome. They helped me set up my Reiki grid
Oh,
in
nice.
my bedroom, and Lily is really connected. Because after we added Reiki to it, she goes, "Uncle Will, the crystals are so shiny."
Nice.
Uh-huh.
It's awesome that you're doing this like so early in their lives because then their belief systems aren't so. It's more like.
Yeah, well, I'm also reading some of the other books that they have, and I'm going, really, we need to get those out of their lives right now.
Well, they get a choice.
Yeah.
Let's write a kid's book, Will.
I am. I have 8 done and 6 more yet to do.
On Reiki? Or just stories?
Oh, I thought you said kids' books.
She did.
Okay. Oh yes, I'll teach Reiki via the basics. With gratitude, joy, and beautiful energy in the universe. I can easily write children's Reiki books, and maybe that'll be in the works.
Actually, I have, when I did my Reiki 2 attunement, or that class in certification, a woman brought her daughter, and it was just so cool. She had already done 1, so she was doing 2, and, she was 15. And I'm like, what an amazing gift to be brought up in that way. And Reiki is not rocket science. Like, it is a gift. Everybody has use, just like teaching, if we taught children how to meditate, how to calm themselves down. All of these things are really, like, fundamentally simple and would drastically improve the quality of life for each individual who has, that at their fingertips. So I don't know. Sorry, I got off on that tangent, but yay, Uncle Will, for bringing a little.
I used to tell my kids stories when they went to bed, and
Me too.
I would make up the story, and it would be like an imagination exercise. Would start it out, have them close their eyes and imagine the circle turning into a triangle, and the triangle turning into a dog's head and a cat's head, stuff like that.
Wow.
I did something similar, but my
Kids have awesome imaginations.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Okay, Uncle Will.
Yes. So it is time to close. I thank you all for joining, and you guys are simply amazing. I appreciate having this conversation. I have a little more ammunition next time I'm out.
Yeah.
It's always interesting. And what do you do? I don't know if you're ready for that. So I thank you very much. My name is Will Mitchell. I'm a Reiki Master Teacher from Rochester, New York. And this has been the Holy Fire Hangout. We've been discussing good and evil. So thank you very much. Remember that you are divine and you are unlimited. So unlimit yourself. Namaste.
Namaste, my
Namaste.
friend.
Namaste, Will. You're evilly good.